Welcome to Couples Becoming Intentional. I'm Carrie.
I am John.
And here at Couples Becoming Intentional, we want to equip you with different tools and resources so that you can live intentional lives with those that you love to leave a legacy that lasts. Welcome to this week's episode of Couples Becoming Intentional. In this episode, we are going to be doing a two-part series. So this is episode 1, and next week, episode 15, we're kind of doing a deep dive into parenting. We had somebody write in and ask us, how do we prepare? Or how did we decide that we wanted to have kids? And I think she's asking it from a aspect of they're in the season. So I think the biggest thing that we're going to be talking about this. So in this episode, we're going to be talking about how did we come to the decision that we wanted to have kids and how did we best prepare for having our kids. And then in episode 15, so the one that will be coming out next week, we are going to be talking about just different parenting things that we have found to be very beneficial as an overview. We could do a deep dive into probably each one of these topics down the road, but this is just an overview for us specifically. So even if you're not a parent or don't have kids, if you work with kids or have a sphere of influence of working with kids, this is going to be beneficial. Or if you're a couple who want to have kids, I think it's going to be really great to just tune into another group of people's opinion.
Spoiler, it's about asking questions.
Yes.
How did we get to the point where we said we wanted kids?
Well, I'm going to back it up because John and I always knew that we wanted to have kids.
Yeah, that's essentially what it is.
Yes, we always knew that.
Right. It's not like we sat down one day and we're like, hey,
I think we're ready.
You're pretty fine.
Oh.
I'm pretty fine. I think we'd have pretty fine kids. I don't know why it's in a southern accent.
Okay. We've always wanted to be parents. So that was a no-brainer to us. We just knew that I knew for myself that I was called to be a mom.
Yes.
I knew for myself that I always wanted to be a mom. And that when John and I got married, that was one of the things that we had talked about before getting married was, do we want to have kids?
Well, right. And that's kind of why we also got married, was oh yeah, we both have the same views on having kids down the road a lot sooner than we anticipated.
Yes. So I think we've talked about this, but in our original plan, it was, let's be married for at least 5 years. Let's be more financially independent.
Was it 5 years?
I had said 5 years.
Oh, maybe you made this plan of 5 years.
Yes.
Younger us and less mature us.
Right.
We didn't communicate our expectations as much.
But I come from it, I was 20. I didn't need kids right off the bat. I didn't want to be a young mom, and then I'd be 25, and I feel like I'd have my life figured out by then.
No.
I don't.
You're 26 now, son. Do you have your life figured out?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I feel like I have a good direction.
I suppose. That's all we can
Exactly. That's all we can hope for. So we got pregnant with Finn, our oldest, who's 4, about a year after our first anniversary. That would be around our second anniversary. No. Back this up.
Around our first.
It was around our first anniversary.
Yeah. I'm a year from getting married.
Yes.
So our first year anniversry.
It all blends together now.
Right. And I remember talking to Carrie, we moved out of your parents' basement, which was
an adventure in itself.
Yeah, not the best decision, but we survived. It was only for 4 months, so it wasn't terrible long period of time where these people, we know some people that are we ended up staying for a year and a half because things never lined up.
Right.
Or we did it for 4 months and it was ugh. And we had a cat, and your dad's allergic to cats, and so yeah, it was just not a great fit for our family. So we moved into our own apartment up in De Pere, and I look at Carrie, I'm Carrie's working a full-time job, I'm working full-time, we have a great apartment that we can afford. I'm Carrie, I think we're financially stable now. I think we can start putting money into the bank. We're not going to accumulate debt anymore. We can start taking these, maybe we look for a house, or maybe we look for, the next adulting decisions. And then I think it was a week later, you came to me and I think I'm pregnant.
Yes. Yeah. That was a really terrifying situation of I just didn't feel like I really knew what I was doing at that point. And it was all very sudden. And when I say like nothing prepares you for parenthood. You can take all the Lamaze classes, which I think are a piece of baloney. You can take, and I didn't take any. So let me take that back. Birth. I did not take any birth classes. I'm a very instinctual person, and I knew that like I felt like I didn't need it, which to each their own. That's my opinion. And
you're also stubborn.
Okay. I didn't want to take it. Anyway, I like when people find that they're pregnant and and it's unexpected. It is unexpected happiness. And we've talked about that before. You can take as many classes. You can do all the counseling, do all the prep work. Nothing like being able to hold your baby that just came out of your body or like just being able to hold your child. Like the world just shifts and the world changes. And like anything that I was stressed out or worried about, or like it all, not in a bad way, but my priorities, there we go, like shifted. And I knew that like I will do whatever it takes to take care of this child. It was like my mother instincts, like of a mother cub. No, a lion with their cub.
Mother cub.
There you go. It's protecting her cub. So I just know that when Finn was born, that everything was going to change. And it did. And John, was that transition from like no kids to a child, was that easy?
No.
Not at all.
But you figure it out.
Yes.
And because like this is the new normal now. Like as much as we don't want change is how you grow as a human. And so like that shift really made us like, oh, right, we have to take seriously not only parenting, but like being more intentional with each other, being intentional with people outside of our house, because it can be so easy, like go to work, come home, be with your family, go to work, come home, be with your family. And so like you actually have to put on your calendar of like, I want a play date, or we should go over here for dinner. And so you have to be more intentional with others. And so kids kind of force that upon you.
Yes.
So if you're not ready to mature before having kids, kids will make you
mature quicker.
Mature quicker.
Yes.
Like one of the best parenting books I will talk more in depth about it next episode, but one of the best parenting books I have that I've read is called How Children Raise Parents. Having your own, like that kind of responsibility of raising a child makes you kind of grow as well. As you were,
it should.
As you are help growing this child in like every way possible, hopefully, like you're growing in every way possible. Nothing really can help you or prepare you to become a parent other than parenting.
Yes, it is so true. And I know I coined this of like, just like marriage, you can do as much preparation as you can for marriage, but nothing is going to really teach you than experience and figuring it out and asking for support and having good people around you who will be able to be there for you. Because I remember after Finn was born, we were not intentional, you and I, with our relationship. And it was so bad. I remember being in church and writing on a connection card, like, my husband and I need counseling. We need to figure this out. And I get a response back from our church and they say, let's pair you with another couple in the church who have older kids and they'll walk alongside you. And that was a saving grace. They lived like 5 minutes down the road and we went to their house and they played with Finn and like just let us vent and talk and like explain what was going on. And postpartum depression, anxiety, anger, like all of that kind of stuff is real. So if you are a mom or a dad, or really a mom for postpartum, but if you're going through that, you need to seek help. Please, for the sake of your family and the sake of your marriage, please do that. I didn't have anything extreme with that. It was so grateful though to have another couple, another family just come alongside us and say, we're here for you. We want to be there for you as you journey through this season, because it's not easy. It is a transition. You're literally adding another human being that you are fully responsible for absolutely everything in the beginning. So that would be my one huge tip of advice of if you are finding yourself in like anytime there's big change in your life, you want to make sure that you have somebody coming alongside you to be able to support you in that.
I think also like depending on how connected the parents are, it is a very real thing to have the husband to take on those emotions of postpartum things. Because like, I mean, when we first had Finn, I didn't feel it as much because I didn't feel that like we weren't as close then. But when you had Penny, like we made the transition to me being a same home dad. And so like I have those like thoughts, have those that like parenting can be isolating. One of the beauty of being a podcast editor, I get to listen to many people's different opinions. And one of them is, it's called Mother Far From Home. And she's just giving practical advice for mothers. It's like for mothers who are stay at home. And I'm like, oh, like this advice applies to me because I am that stay at home dad. And so like I learned so much from just editing her podcast. And like, she's a certified sleep trainer. So like she knows her stuff. Like if you have difficult kids that don't want to sleep, like where we're at right now, because we have a 4 and a 2-year-old who are 2-year-old this figured out how to climb out of her crib. Like it's just really good advice. And so like I just edited one about finding your parenting style, which I can talk about in the next episode. Anyways, yeah, preparing for having kids, nothing can really do it.
No. And I completely agree. And I just want to give Rachel a shout out on this podcast. So if you are a parent or want to become a parent, I highly recommend listening to A Mother Far From Home. You can find it wherever you listen to podcasts. She's been such a wonderful client for us to work with. And we have learned so much even from, she just launched her podcast. She's like a month in. So it's been really fun to listen to all of her episodes. So if that interests you, we'll have her links down in the show notes for you. I do want to talk about this because in the beginning, when we first decided that we wanted to have kids, we wanted 4. I wanted a girl, then a boy, and then a girl, then a boy, because
we both did want that. Yeah.
Yes. The family that I needed 4, they had that. And I said, you are the epitome of what I want in my life. I want 4 because then I can have the minivan. I have there's 2 and 2. We each can have 2 and it'll be great. So we don't have 2. I mean, we don't have 4. We only have 2. Are we having more?
No.
We are not having any more. Any more biological kids.
We decided that once we had Finn, we were like, you know what? Maybe 3.
Yes.
We're like,
maybe 3.
Maybe 3. And then we got to we're like, well, if we have a girl next, we can be done. If we have a boy, then we'll try for a girl. And if we'll have 3.
Yes.
1, because I don't want a minivan.
You don't. You're very passionate about this.
And I don't know about passionate. It's just,
you will not drive a minivan.
I won't drive a minivan.
Correct.
Yes. I have the same reason why I don't buy Crocs, because I have not given up on life.
That's fine. I love my Crocs and I love minivans. It's fine.
I care just a little bit. So we came down to 2. We had a girl next. We have our sweet Penny. And so we were like, yeah, we have a boy, we have a girl. That is the new nuclear family of America, apparently. Now we just need to find how to find that 0.1 of a child.
That's not happening.
Eventually we'll have a dog, which I think that's like a 0.1, right? I don't know. However you get a 0.1. And so, yeah.
We're done.
Yeah.
I do.
And
go ahead.
The beauty of having our kids so soon and the fact that we're done, we're having 2, is that in our 40s, they're going to be 18 and hopefully self-sufficient.
Yes, hopefully.
That doesn't necessarily need to live outside the house. They can take care of themselves. They have a full-time job or going to college. And so the fact is we're going to be in our 40s. We're going to have by that time, you are making more money. And so we'll have more money and we'll have more free time. And so then if we wanted to travel, that is more of a realistic opportunity than if I know a lot of people are well, let's have kids later, get married later, even in the secular world, right? And so the reality is you don't have a lot of money in your 20s. You have a lot of free time. You can't do much if you're broke, though.
Right.
You can't do much. You sure you can do trips on the cheap, but I'm not that kind of person. I'd rather spend a little bit more so I can have a little bit more comforts.
Right.
And so like you're broke and you have free time. So I'd rather be broke and have something taking up my free time, like parenting, because it's such a wonderful gift. And then when I'm 40s, where I have money, I have free time, now I can have the opportunity of traveling, going places, and then also inviting my adult kids with me.
Yes.
Because like we have the means and we have the know-how and
It's so true. And I want to preface, as we're coming to a close on this part of us talking about parenting, is that if you feel like you don't want kids, I don't want there to be any shame. I feel like in the church, we have created this bubble almost where the ideal Christian is someone who's married with kids. And that's not a reality. That is absolutely not. So if you have felt that, I'm so sorry that has happened to you, because that is not the way that the church was intended to be.
Oh, right. I think for whatever reasons, I think it's because we're stuck in the 1950s with a lot of our ideas and theology is that like people think that like in order to be a good Christian, you need to have a nuclear family around you. Like a man is only as good as he is a father, which is like unreal. And like a mom or a woman can only be useful if she's a mother. Where like we forget that Jesus was a single man, single celibate man. Paul was a single celibate man. And like that is a very real like direction for people in the church. You do not need to get married to be fulfilled. You only need Jesus. And I think if you're married, if you have kids, it's harder to follow Jesus because there is so many distractions. If you're single, you have so much free time to give to Jesus, to do things for Jesus, with Jesus, because like you're making money and you have free time. So like you can do that with like, you can give those to Jesus and like let him shape you into a person that's furthering the kingdom.
Yeah. So all that to say, no matter what stage of life that you find yourself in, you're single, you're in a relationship, you're married, you have kids, whatever that looks like, just know that ultimately we report to Jesus. And how can you use the season of life that you're in to change you to look more like Jesus? And so for us, we got pregnant quick. We got married fast. And now we're in a season of, okay, Jesus, refine me in this. Refine me through my marriage. Refine me through my parenting. And in the next episode, so stay tuned for next week, we're going to be talking about all the different ways that the Lord really has refined us and the different tools that we've used. And by no means do I say we're perfect at this. We are not. We are fallen, finite human beings that don't have it all together. And we are growing. And we are wanting to become...
We have Jesus.
Yes, exactly. And we're wanting to become more like Jesus and model that for our kids. Okay, so we will see you guys in the next one. If this was beneficial to you, can you go ahead and leave us a review over on Apple Podcasts? I know you're probably sick of all the podcasters saying, leave a review. No, this is actually super important for us because when you leave a review, it actually gives us feedback on how the show is going. So if you could just go over to Apple Podcasts, if you are an Apple user, and go ahead and leave us a rating and leave a review and tell us what you think about the show, that'd be very, very helpful for us. Thanks for listening to another episode of Couples Becoming Intentional. As always, if you have a question that you would like us to answer here on the podcast, you can go ahead and send us an email at jcvhouse@gmail.com, or you can send me a DM over on Instagram at Carrie Vaco. We'd love to be able to answer and feature you on here on the podcast. And as always, if there is somebody in your life who would benefit from this episode, feel free to go ahead and send them the link. And if you love this content, we'd love to be able to hear from you. So go ahead and leave us a review over on Apple Podcasts.
Until next time, we love you and we appreciate you.
See you guys.
Bye.